Picture this: a billionaire industrialist vanishes without a trace, a disgraced journalist fights to clear his name, and a punk hacker with a photographic memory becomes an unlikely detective. Welcome to the dark, twisted world of Swedish crime fiction that changed everything. Today, we're diving deep into Stieg Larsson's masterpiece that launched 1,000 imitators and redefined the thriller genre forever. What happens when corruption runs so deep it touches Sweden's most powerful families? When secrets buried for decades suddenly threaten to destroy everything? The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo isn't just another mystery novel. It's a savage indictment of power, abuse, and the lengths people will go to protect their darkest secrets. This isn't your typical cosy crime story. This is raw, unflinching, and absolutely brutal in its honesty. Larsson crafted something extraordinary here, a story that operates on multiple levels simultaneously. On the surface, it's a missing person case that becomes a murder investigation. Dig deeper, and you'll find a scathing critique of Swedish society, corporate corruption, and systemic abuse of power. But at its core, this is a story about two damaged people finding strength in each other while confronting monsters both literal and metaphorical. The book introduces us to Mikael Blomqvist, a journalist whose career lies in tatters after a devastating libel case, and Lisbeth Salander, a brilliant but troubled hacker whose past holds secrets darker than anyone imagines. When these two unlikely allies team up to solve the disappearance of Harriet Vanger, they uncover a web of family secrets, corporate espionage, and serial murder that will change both their lives forever. This isn't just entertainment, it's a mirror held up to society's darkest corners, forcing us to confront uncomfortable truths about power, privilege, and the price of silence. The dragon tattoo phenomenon didn't happen by accident. It struck a nerve because it dared to say what others wouldn't about the world we live in. The story begins with Mikael Blomqvist, a respected financial journalist, facing professional ruin after losing a libel case against corrupt industrialist Hans-Erik Wennerström. His magazine Millennium teeters on the edge of collapse, and his reputation lies in shambles. Enter Henrik Vanger, patriarch of the powerful Vanger industrial dynasty, who offers Blomqvist an unusual proposition: investigate the 40-year-old disappearance of his beloved niece Harriet in exchange for information that could destroy Wennerström. Harriet Vanger vanished during a family gathering on Hedeby Island in 1966, and Henrik remains convinced she was murdered by someone within the family. The case has consumed him for decades, driving him to compile extensive files on every family member and their potential motives. Blomqvist initially approaches this as a straightforward missing persons investigation, but the deeper he digs, the more sinister the truth becomes. Enter Lisbeth Salander, a brilliant but deeply troubled security researcher who initially investigates Blomqvist for Milton's security. Salander is a ward of the state with a history of psychological issues, but her computer skills are legendary in certain circles. When she discovers Blomqvist's investigation, she becomes intrigued and eventually partners with him to solve the mystery. Their investigation reveals that Harriet's disappearance is connected to a series of brutal murders spanning several decades. The killer, it turns out, is someone very close to the Vanger family, someone who has been hiding in plain sight for 40 years. As Blomqvist and Salander piece together the clues, they realise they're not just hunting a murderer, they're confronting a sadistic serial killer who has been operating with impunity for decades. The investigation takes increasingly dangerous turns as the killer realises someone is closing in. Blomqvist finds himself in mortal danger, and it's Salander who ultimately saves him, using her unique skills and ruthless determination to stop the killer once and for all. The resolution of the Harriet Vanger case sets up the larger conflict with Wennerström, which Salander resolves in her own characteristic style, using her hacking abilities to expose his crimes and transfer his fortune to various charities and victims. The Wennerström affair serves as the catalyst that sets everything in motion. Blomqvist's investigation into the corrupt financier results in a devastating libel conviction that destroys his credibility and threatens his magazine's survival. This isn't just a professional setback, it's a complete character assassination that forces Blomqvist to question everything he believes about journalism and justice. The case reveals how the powerful can manipulate the legal system to silence their critics, establishing one of the book's central themes about corruption and accountability. Henrik Vanger's proposition transforms what seems like a desperate career move into something far more significant. The elderly industrialist's obsession with his niece's disappearance isn't just family loyalty, it's a man's final attempt to find peace before death. His detailed files on every family member reveal decades of dysfunction, abuse and hatred within one of Sweden's most prominent families. This investigation becomes Blomqvist's path to redemption, but also his introduction to horrors he never imagined. Lisbeth Salander's introduction reveals a character unlike any other in crime fiction. Her background check on Blomqvist isn't just routine corporate espionage, it's a meeting of minds across different worlds. Salander's troubled past, her status as a ward of the state, and her extraordinary abilities create immediate intrigue. Her decision to hack into Blomqvist's computer and monitor his investigation establishes her as someone who operates by her own rules, outside conventional society. The discovery of Harriet's diary represents the investigation's crucial turning point. Hidden biblical references reveal a pattern of murders spanning decades, each connected to specific verses about punishment and retribution. This isn't random violence, it's systematic killing with religious justification. The diary transforms a missing person case into a serial murder investigation, raising the stakes exponentially and revealing the true scope of the horror the investigators face. Martin Vange's revelation as the killer delivers one of literature's most shocking twists. The respected CEO who has been helping with the investigation is actually the serial killer they've been hunting. His basement torture chamber represents the culmination of decades of hidden violence, and his capture of Blomqvist creates the story's most intense sequence. This revelation destroys any remaining innocence about the Vange family and demonstrates how evil can hide behind respectability. Salander's rescue of Blomqvist showcases her unique combination of vulnerability and lethal capability. Her willingness to use extreme violence to save someone she barely knows reveals her strict moral code and her complete rejection of conventional methods. The confrontation with Martin Vange isn't just about stopping a killer, it's about Salander confronting the type of men who have damaged her throughout her life. The revelation of Harriet's survival adds complexity to what seemed like a straightforward resolution. Her escape to Australia and subsequent life under a new identity raises questions about justice, family loyalty, and the cost of survival. Her return to Sweden and confrontation with her past demonstrates the long-term impact of childhood trauma and the difficulty of ever truly escaping one's history. The Wennerstrom resolution demonstrates Salander's extraordinary abilities and her unique approach to justice. Her systematic destruction of the corrupt financier's empire through hacking and financial manipulation represents vigilante justice on a massive scale. This isn't just about clearing Blomqvist's name, it's about punishing those who abuse power and helping their victims. The elaborate scheme reveals Salander's genius and her commitment to her own moral code. Power corrupts at every level of society, from individual families to corporate boardrooms and government institutions. The Vange family's dysfunction mirrors Sweden's broader social problems, while Wennerstrom's financial crimes demonstrate how the wealthy manipulate systems to avoid accountability. The book argues that traditional institutions, police, courts, media often fail to protect the vulnerable, creating space for individuals to pursue their own justice. Trauma shapes people in profound and lasting ways, but it doesn't have to define them completely. Salander's abusive childhood and continued victimization by the state system could have destroyed her, but instead she develops extraordinary skills and an uncompromising moral code. Her ability to channel her anger into productive action demonstrates resilience and the possibility of transformation even after severe trauma. Technology represents both liberation and danger in the modern world. Salander's hacking abilities give her power that traditional authority figures lack, allowing her to expose corruption and protect the innocent. However, the same technology that empowers her also enables surveillance, manipulation, and new forms of abuse. The book suggests that technology amplifies human nature rather than changing it fundamentally. Justice often requires operating outside conventional systems. Throughout the story, official channels fail repeatedly, police dismiss Harriet's disappearance, courts protect Wennerstrom, and social services fail Salander. Real justice comes from individuals willing to take personal risks to expose truth and protect victims. This vigilante approach raises ethical questions, but proves more effective than traditional methods. Family secrets can poison entire generations if left unaddressed. The Vange family's culture of silence around abuse and violence creates an environment where evil flourishes. Henrik's obsession with solving Harriet's disappearance represents an attempt to break the cycle, but it requires outsiders to finally bring truth to light. The book suggests that confronting difficult truths is necessary for healing and progress. Gender-based violence reflects broader power imbalances in society. The serial killer's targeting of women isn't random. It represents systematic misogyny that society often ignores or minimises. Salander's experiences with sexual assault and the system's failure to protect her mirror the experiences of countless women. The book argues that individual cases of violence against women reflect broader cultural problems. Professional ethics and personal morality sometimes conflict with practical necessity. Blomqvist's commitment to journalistic integrity initially makes him vulnerable to Wennerström's manipulation, while Salander's willingness to break laws enables her to achieve justice. The story suggests that rigid adherence to rules can prevent addressing injustice, but also warns about the dangers of abandoning ethical constraints entirely. Unlikely partnerships can achieve what individuals cannot accomplish alone. Blomqvist and Salander's collaboration combines different skills, perspectives, and approaches to solving problems. Their partnership works because they respect each other's abilities while compensating for each other's weaknesses. The book celebrates the power of cooperation between people who might seem incompatible on the surface. Information is the ultimate weapon in modern society. Knowledge of Wennerström's crimes gives Blomqvist power over his enemy, while Salander's access to digital information makes her nearly unstoppable. The book argues that controlling information flow is more valuable than physical force or traditional authority. Those who can gather, analyse and disseminate information effectively can challenge even the most powerful institutions. Personal redemption requires confronting uncomfortable truths about oneself and society. Blomqvist's journey from disgrace to vindication isn't just about clearing his name. It's about understanding how corruption operates and his role in combating it. Similarly, Salander's evolution from victim to avenger requires acknowledging her past while refusing to be defined by it. The girl with the dragon tattoo succeeds because it refuses to offer easy answers or comfortable resolutions. Larsson created a world where good and evil aren't clearly defined, where heroes have significant flaws, and where justice often comes at a terrible cost. The book's enduring popularity stems from its willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about power, privilege, and the price of silence in modern society. Blomqvist and Salander's partnership represents something rare in crime fiction, a collaboration based on mutual respect and complementary skills rather than romantic attraction or traditional detective sidekick dynamics. Their relationship evolves organically throughout the story, driven by shared commitment to justice rather than conventional plot devices. This authentic connection makes their achievements feel earned rather than convenient. The book's impact extends far beyond entertainment, sparking conversations about sexual violence, corporate corruption, and media responsibility. Larsson's background in journalism and his commitment to exposing real-world problems give the fiction weight and relevance that purely escapist entertainment lacks. The story succeeds as both thrilling entertainment and serious social commentary. Perhaps most importantly, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo demonstrates that individuals can make a difference even when institutions fail. Blomqvist and Salander's success in exposing corruption and stopping violence proves that ordinary people possess extraordinary power when they refuse to accept injustice. Their story inspires readers to question authority, demand accountability, and never give up the fight for truth and justice in their own lives.